Hey, welcome. I
Uh-oh.
love that beat.
You made this?
Uh-uh. Okay, so welcome, everybody who is here. G Spot 967. Like always, this is my favorite time of the month. We have a rotating format every third and fourth week of the month. I added them in. Yes, we will be doing interviews. Interviews, yes, no. We're doing some interviews with some of the most amazing people on the planet. And we're not talking about these well knowns, we're talking about the anonymous people who are doing phenomenal things. And this week, I want to talk about this month, rather. Well, one or two shameless plugs before I get started. One is that you're at G Spot 967, and if you have not done so yet, you need to get over to that subscribe button. You need to get over to that like button and click the both of them and click the remind button so that you can be reminded that every 2 p.m. every Sunday, something is going on. 10 weeks of the month. This is the final. The other plug I had is that this is the final finale of season 2. And boy, what a smoker it's going to be. On yes, and I should not be saying things like hot and smoker on the in the throes of a heat wave, but I'm using these words because this is what describes this episode. So this is the season finale, and I want you guys to enjoy it. If you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say to myself or the co-host, you are more than welcome to put it in the chat. I will get it. Sorry, I am so sorry. I will get it and I will make sure that you get your answers answered and you are acknowledged. The other is if you check in the chat, there is some shameless plugs. October 19th, 2024 is coming up. The very first event is a series of 5 events. The first of 5 is an attempt to bring people to the brand, integrative wellness. The mass is just for show. If you have not gotten your tickets and you know where I stay and where I play, call that phone number, click that link, and get those tickets because that is going to be a really grown and sexy event. Limited capacity. Once we get to our capacity, it will not be a 101 or not be a 51. It will be that's it. And you don't want to miss it. But today, I want to introduce you guys to a gentleman that I met in my day. Everybody knows I have a day job. Yes. And everybody is always, and I am looking for a way out. People say don't quit your day job. I'm trying to tap into my talents, any talents that I have that will help me get out of my day job. And it's not that I deplore it or hate it, but I have skills and assets and I am trying to tap into them. Okay. So I want to talk about this gentleman a little bit before we get started. Oh my God, how long has it been? Like 3, 4 years?
About 4 years.
4 years. I met him. We became fast friends. I think that, we're going to, during the interview, we're going to get his thoughts with me. I always try to do that. But when I first met him, everybody who meets me, they say they have different things to say about me, but it's all along the lines of that girl is a character. But I digress. We're going to talk about this gentleman. I met him. We became fast friends. Our job is not easy. That day job is not easy. And if you could find people in that job that you could make some type of, and you get a different type of energy from other than just my eight and skate type of energy, you're on to something good and you need to nurture that relationship. And that's what I feel like I've done with this relationship. I found out that he had his talent when I think we were having some type of event and you brought in a cake, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And your girl can eat. Not only can I eat, but I got my palate is really, really attuned to good cooking. So he made this cake and I said, wait a minute. I walked around to each booth and made sure everybody got a piece because I was taking the rest home.
I remember that.
Everybody thought I was joking, but I'm serious. So, some months later, or it might have even been a year, a little bit later, I found out we were neighbors. Oh my God. That I did not need to know that. And let me tell you, I think I was working on weight loss. That went out the window soon thereafter. I just reveled in the fact that I had a neighbor who could, in the words of my grandmother, who could burn. And it was just such, I mean, food is, I think, good is not even a word that adequately describes it. Succulent, the meat, succulent is not a word that adequately describes. I don't think I've had the chance to. Oh, yes, I have. Let me not sit here and tell a lie. The carbs. I just had the opportunity to taste the macaroni and cheese. This last, right before, and we'll get into that. This last week, the 14th of this month. And let me tell you something. Let me tell y'all something. Macaroni and cheese. Let's stop there for a minute. Macaroni and cheese in the African American household is a delicacy. I don't know about any other culture. I'm talking about the African American because I experienced the African American experience. And baked macaroni and cheese is one of those dishes, along with potato salad. If you cannot do those two,
Don't even try.
Don't even bother yourself. If you're good at everything else, you need to just rely on your friend to do the potato salad and the macaroni and cheese, especially if you're feeding the masses. Okay, if you can't do them and you eating them for your personal, okay. But if you're feeding the masses, because we got this thing about us, we will talk about you bad, and we'll tell you, but we'll talk about you first. But I digress. But I tasted that macaroni and cheese, and let me tell you, 2 thumbs up. I didn't get a chance to tell you 2 thumbs up.
Thank you.
I had 5 more thumbs, you would have those. But that macaroni and cheese is rocking. And I'm glad that I waited until I got home because I got ugly with it. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm talking about licking fingers and carrying on and smacking. I didn't have table manners.
That's how you know.
So I just wanted to tell you that. But I just want to introduce you guys to Mr. Michael Harris. And I just want to just clap you up. Welcome, Mr. Harris.
Thank you.
Welcome. I think I can call you Michael now.
That's fine. Yes.
Right. Okay. So I'm so used to calling my day people that I work with Mr. and Miss because that's just how I am. But now we'll get to that part why I can officially call him Michael. So tell us about yourself. Tell us anything about yourself. Let's start at your youth and we're gonna work on up. What's your family life like? Mom, dad, whatever you're comfortable with, talk to us.
Well, let's say. Well, I just celebrated a birthday recently.
Oh.
And last week, a few days ago. So I'm 31
Happy
now.
birthday.
Officially.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. So I grew up right here in Newark. I'm in the middle of 7 children together. And we're all very close, especially now. Both my parents have passed away. Lost them both very young. Thank you. But my siblings and I are very close, and we keep each other lifted. So they're a very big and special part of my life.
Okay. So where do you still live in the vicinity? You still live in the Newark area?
So I'm the only one back in this area. We were all gone from this area. I recently bought a house. So I'm in East Orange now again. And the rest are spread out about 30, 40 minutes away. One's in Florham Park, some in Plainfield, North Plainfield. So we're not too far at all. We make it work.
Okay, so
except I have one down in Atlanta. He's the furthest.
Okay, he went way out.
Hello.
And what I'm coming to find with regards to Newark, depending on where you grew up and your feeling for it, it could be a combination thereof. A lot of people who grew up in Newark, although we love it, Love it. It's where we were born and bred and raised. We eventually move away. Even if it's like what you said in the immediate area or move away, like your other sibling who moved to Atlanta. Do you find that to be true with a lot of people?
Definitely do. People who, in this day and age, people who can, who have the finances and the opportunity to move away, they definitely do at some point in their adult life. And some come back, I guess, after a while, but many leave and stay away.
Right. Now you moved away to Middlesex County and then you moved back. You want to
Hmm.
speak to that? And then we'll come back to your youth since we're on.
Yes. So I moved to Middlesex County and lived there about 4 years. And it was beautiful. So I loved it because it was so different than North, right, and Essex County by and large. I mean, just the fact that I had grass, right, I had a lawn, a pool in my complex. That was the biggest thing that really drew me there was the grass, right? There was grass where I could sit and just sit in the grass, look at the grass, walk on the grass without my shoes. I mean, it was mind blowing. And that's really what drew me. There was so much freaking grass, right? And it was just so beautiful. And that alone was enough to make me move there. And it was so peaceful, just a different environment. Um, Things like there were 8 grocery stores within 10-minute drive, which was also mind blowing, a world of a difference from where I'm from, and other things like that that really drew me there and made for a different lifestyle, a different level of comfort. But since then, of course, that area can be expensive, right? You're paying for all those amenities and luxuries, but also because Essex County, particularly Newark and East Orange, are developing at such a high rate right now that it made sense. I know I wanted to buy, and so it made sense to buy in this area financially while it's developing to get in on that.
Okay, okay. So now we're gonna jump back to your youth. So what was it like for you growing up in Newark in a household, seven, seven children? What was it like?
So all 7 of us didn't live in the household. The 7 are in total from both parents. The four were in the household from my mom, right? But the others were over all the time anyway, so it's like they lived there. Um, but it was incredible from what I can remember. There are things that in hindsight indicated that we were impoverished and indicated that things weren't so great, but it was fun, it was beautiful, it was remarkable to me. We just had a good time. Even
Okay.
if we all had to share 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches between the 7 of us, we did it with a smile, you know.
Right, right,
We
right.
were happy and we had a good time, and that's what mattered to me. We were all together, we were safe, we were cared for, we were loved, and we didn't even realize that, yeah, we were poor, we were in poverty. There were some things that we were experiencing that weren't normal, that we thought were normal, and other experiences that different children in different socioeconomic status experienced that we didn't, but we didn't think anything of it, right? And I didn't know any better until I got grown.
Okay. So what about what was schooling like for you? Let's talk about your education.
So my mom, I don't know how she did it. Like I said, the 4 that were hers were in the house. The other 3 from my dad were with their respective mothers. But I don't know how my mother did it. She sent all 4 of us, of her children, to private schools. So I
Wow.
went to private. Hello, single mother. I went to private school until I was in freshman year of high school. After freshman year, she couldn't swing it anymore. Things changed, so I went to public school after that. But also, she ran a daycare center. She was the executive director of a daycare center. So we all went there until we were school age, which was fun, right? To be able to go to daycare and stuff with my mom and my siblings. And we just had a good time until school age. Then we went to private school. And that really gave us the foundation, the strong foundation, and the structure that we needed to be successful academically later in life.
Okay. So high school. What were the high school? Because that had to be a
Woo!
big transition going from
Ah,
private school to public high school. What was that
let me tell
transition
you.
like for you?
It was crazy. It was really, really crazy. And
He
even
said,
though it was crazy, and dare I say traumatic, because even though I lived in Newark, my school, elementary, middle schools were in Newark, it was private school, right? And so we just had a different structure. We had order, we had decorum, we had to wear uniform, we had to stand in line to walk down the hallway. We had to greet people, greet staff members when they came in the room. We had to present our work a certain way. It was just so different. It was so structured, and they were so specific and particular in how we had to do everything. So then sophomore year of high school, I'll never forget my first day. Um, I went to East Orange campus, loved it after a while, right? Had a good time. Ended up being the vice president of my senior class of about 500 students, right? So it was a great time. I had a good time there. But my first day, I'll never forget because I go, I've got my book bag with, my stapler, my hand sanitizer, and, all of my little supplies that I think I would need, that I'm used to needing at my private school, right?
Right.
So I go in there and we walking through metal detectors. First of all, that's like, wow, you know, walking through a metal detector to go into school. Like I'm a criminal or something, right? Wasn't used to that. So we walk through the metal detectors, and these people go through my bag, my book bag, my nice little neat, packed, organized book bag from my private school upbringing. They take out my stapler, my scissors, my hand sanitizer, my juice, everything. They took it, confiscated it, right? It was weapons or contraband or not safe or whatever,
Oh
and
my
they
God, were
raided my
you
bag.
traumatized?
Oh, and the spiral string notebooks. They took those too. It had to have composition books. And I took it and threw it all away. I couldn't have it back. I couldn't get it at the end of the day. No, they took it, and that was it. I would never see it again. Yeah, I was traumatized. I couldn't believe it. It was crazy. It was
Oh my
that
God.
that first year was crazy.
So you made it through. After that day, you got your PS 101 lesson.
Hmm.
So you are officially a high schooler in the
Right.
public school system.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was different.
so we're gonna let you do your little plug right now. And I see that there's one person on. Want to encourage you that if you have questions, if you have comments, put them in the chat. Put them in the chat. We are visiting, we are here going from soul to soul.
Soul
Mr.
to soul.
Mr. Harris, tell us about what you're doing.
Yeah, so speaking of soul to soul, if you can see my shirt, Soul Food Catering. Soul Food Catering is a family business that I have with my siblings, with three of my siblings. The four of us have a catering company. We specialize in large scale catering um, for big events. We specialize in large scale for up to even hundreds of people, right? But we also do smaller scale catering, 25 to 50 people, or whatever, private events, backyard barbecues, baby showers, whatever, different kind of events, funerals. We've done a lot of those that we cater for. And our new home that we have is in Woodbridge, 689 Florida Grove Road in Woodbridge, New Jersey. It's where we do our cooking and our catering, and we'd love to have your support in your business. Now, we specialize also in barbecue. Our southern barbecue with our homemade sauce is incredible. You have to try it. Um, and follow us on Instagram for more information at Soul Food Catering. That's SOLE Catering, Soul Food Catering. Why is it SOLE? Because we put our foot in it.
Okay. So there you have it. And we're going to don't worry, we'll put it in the chat and we're going to also do it again. He's going to do this again and again throughout the interview so that you will get the information. But once again, if you have comments, put them in the chat. If you have questions, put them in the chat. So now we left off with high school. You successfully completed high school and voila, you are any other education, undergrad, graduate. But talk to us about
Yes.
that.
So from high school, I went to Fairleigh Dickinson University, FDU in Madison. They have several different campuses. I went to the Madison campus, stayed there 5 years because I triple majored like a crazy person. Um,
Okay,
triple
what's
majored.
the, whoa, whoa. Could you help us with that?
Yes, my majors were sociology, criminology, and African American studies. So
Okay.
I went in as a creative writing major because I loved to write. I loved creative writing, using my imagination, all of that. But I took sociology, intro to sociology, freshman year, second semester, as just a random elective, and I fell in love with it. It was so thought provoking, so enlightening, and it really just made me think and look at the world in a different way. And so I took another sociology class and another one, and I'm like, well, shit, I think I'm gonna change. I think I'm gonna change my major, and so that I did. And as I'm taking my sociology classes, I took one criminology course as a because it doubled, it was for both majors, criminology and sociology. So I took
Okay.
that class and I'm like, this is interesting. This makes sense. Um, and so the same thing happened. It took more and more criminology classes. And it was like, after a while, like, bro, you might as well make this a major as well. Then here we go with African American studies. First, I had it as a minor. And then it just became more and more interested. And what really took me was the intersectionality between the sociology, the criminology, and African American studies, and how our people are often marginalized and criminalized unjustly. Um, and just studying all of that and how we've been treated in this country in particular, it opened my mind. And I was like, well, why not take on another major? And it just meant staying another year. So that's what I did.
Well, I would have been. I mean, were you afraid that if you would have took a psych class, what might have happened?
That's so funny because I took a couple of psych classes, and the director of the department is like, "Oh my goodness, Michael Harris! So you have so much emotional intelligence, and we'd love to have you." And the major, I'm like, "Listen, lady, I'm feeling psych is cool, but I already got three. I can't do no more."
But now, but were you as intrigued or as impassioned or inflamed as you were with the other three? Were you as inflamed as you were in? Yeah. Were you as impassioned with the psych class as you were with the other three, African American sociology and
Nah.
no? Why not? I mean, now they have a lot of different. They have a lot of different traits that they share.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
why not? Why do you think not?
Maybe I didn't spend enough time on it, or because I knew I couldn't or wouldn't take on another one, so I didn't pay too much mind. Um, but it was also more rigid, right? The
Okay.
theories are what they are, you know, and it was more rigid. The sociology allows you to think more independently and draw conclusions from studies, right?
Right. Psychology deals with the behaviors and it's like pretty much laid out.
Right. It's not
Sociology is a
as
little bit more
fluid.
flexible. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see that. I can see that. African American studies, yeah, it's pretty much it's so many different pathways you could go with that too as well.
Let me tell you about that. So I fell in love with that because my professor, Dr. Monifa Brinson Moraine, who I still talk to from time to time via email to this day, my first African American Studies class, she said, well, we're going to start from the beginning. I'm like, okay, fine, sure. And so we're all expecting slavery and all that kind of, stuff from here in America. And though I knew this, I didn't know it. I knew it, but I didn't know it. Right? She was like, the beginning is back in Africa. And so we started studying
Sharp.
the royalty and the kingdom and queendom and how we were as a people more than the slaves. She said we weren't slaves. They brought us here and made us slaves. They made the kings and the queens and they made the royal people their servants and their slaves. But that's not who we are. That's not how we began in this world.
Was that interesting for you to learn? Because I learned that as well. Was it interesting? Because I was trying to get into, I don't know, I went to undergrad first, and that's a whole nother story. And I went to Essex County College. And anybody who went to Essex County College, if you didn't have the Gunther experience, something was wrong with you. And he pretty much talked on that a lot about before African Americanism in the United States. And was that eye opening for you to hear that and learn that?
It was. It definitely was.
Because it definitely wasn't something that was done in grade school. Did
Right.
I say that
Correct.
right? I
Correct.
mean, private or public.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because they taught us our history began with slavery here in this country.
right, right. And we could go down avenues if you're comfortable with why do you think that that is?
Of course, to um, keep us down, as it were, um, so that we wouldn't be enlightened and so that we wouldn't have the self confidence and be in tune with our history, right? And
Right.
know who we are. And even though, like, yeah, we had seen Amistad and we knew, but we didn't really know,
Really.
like, where we really came from.
Right.
And something that I also learned was about psychological lynching. And that's very, very, very real. Willie Lynch
Oh
wrote
yeah.
the letters and about psychological lynching and how if they can get it into our minds first that we aren't worth a damn, that we aren't able to do anything, that we're no good, and that we are slaves and we come from slaves, then they
Right.
can
The
keep us
whole.
there mentally.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so many tenets of it, I see it, but on a different level coming through to our youth. The whole mentality and how they behave very, 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 very prevalent. It could be a conversation that we can have in length about that. However, I want to say the course, you did that undergrad studies, three majors, with a possible four on the myth, but the only reason, like, you was like, I'm gonna get all that I can get. So when I wanted to ask this question, when did the cooking come in? With all of that, being traumatized the first day of high school, three majors, right? Three majors in college. When did the cooking come in?
Well, I've been cooking all my life, really, against my will. Um, my grandmother was, one of the church mothers, and she ran the kitchen. That was her thing. She ran the
Now,
kitchen.
how old were you when you started at
Woo!
her feet? At her feet.
Probably about 8 years old,
Woo,
eight,
yeah.
9 years old. Yeah. So we were all by her side, you know, cooking with her. Yeah,
Now,
whatever.
wait. All seven or all four? How did that go?
All four.
Okay, so everybody was cooking.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody can burn.
Yes. Yeah, because the business is a family business, so it's the four of us together,
I
and
want
we
to talk
we
about
all
that because that's a rarity. I want to talk about that. But go ahead, stay with that. And then I want to talk about that rarity when we talk about family businesses later on, because I want to touch on
okay.
that. But go ahead, finish telling 8 years old.
Yeah, so my grandmother, she ran the kitchen. So whenever there was a dinner sale, a bake sale, a funeral, an anniversary, wedding, anything happening at the church, and there was always something happening at the church, she was running the kitchen, right? And so we were right there with her in the kitchen doing what she told us to do. We were mad as hell, but we did it, right? Early at the crack of dawn, going to the store, going to church all day, cooking while the other kids were out there playing and whatever, having a good time in the yard. We were in the kitchen with grandma cooking. And so that was all my life. And as I got older, of course, she got older too, and she could do less as she got older. So then we had to get more hands on. It became more than just, oh, baby, go get that butter out the refrigerator. Oh, baby, stir that pot real quick. To like, nah, bro, you go do that. You know how to do it. You've been watching me do it for 15 years. Now you know how to do it. And so eventually she would sit down and just give orders. She couldn't really do as much physically when she got older. So she would sit down and give orders, and we would physically do everything that we watched her do all these years. And she would say, oh, did you remember to do this? Did you remember? Yes, Grandma, I know. Yes, I remember. And to this day, when I'm cooking certain things, I can hear her voice. Did you remember to do that? Don't forget this. Add this. This goes after that. And I can
Wow.
hear it to this day.
Wow. So definitely teach them in the ways of which they will go. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
So and I cannot. I want to. My wheels are turning right now, and we are like not even 30 minutes in. But I want to have, if it's all right with you, speak with your family. I want to have you guys all back together.
Okay.
If
Yeah, I
that's,
can talk to them.
I want to put that out there. I'm booked and boogie till the year's end, but I could definitely squeeze you guys in.
Okay.
Because this is good stuff right here. The other thing, do your plug. Do your plug. It's plug
Yeah,
time.
so like we were saying, my family business, Soul Food Catering, we specialize in large scale catering. We're located at 689 Florida Grove Road in Woodbridge, New Jersey, and we'll be happy to cater any event that you have. If you're having a backyard barbecue this summer, if you're having wedding, an anniversary, a birthday party, baby shower, someone passes away, you need food for the repast, whatever you need for any event coming up, we'll be happy to cater for you. Especially summertime, we're very, very busy in the summertime. Because of our homemade barbecue sauce, we have our homemade barbecue rub for our ribs, our chicken, all of that. And for the holidays as well, because we do large scale catering, we do cater holiday gatherings, Thanksgivings, Christmas, whatever holiday gatherings that you may be having. We'll be happy to cater those as well. So follow us on Instagram for all of our updates at Soul Food Catering, SOLE Food Catering.
Okay, so and also if you're in the building or via YouTube, questions in the comment box, questions and comments you want to make. Let's chat it up. Okay, so now we have you here, and we're talking about family, and we're talking about food, and we're talking about how you got there, and we're talking about, oh my God, that public school, high school experience, which I'm gonna just like, and the college. So you went to college and you finished college, and now you're here out in the world officially, no more schooling. Where does work come in at?
Where does work come in at? So I've been I've been in social services for about 9 years, since I graduated college. Different things. I've done substance abuse counseling. I've worked in the school system as a teacher's assistant for behaviorally disabled students. I've
Is
done
that public or private?
public.
Okay.
I've done individual. Um, I've been an individual behavioral therapist for individuals in their respective homes. And I worked for the Essex County Division of Family Assistance and Benefits, the Essex County Welfare Office, for about the past 6 years.
Okay. Okay. So you have a healthy, meaningful, sounds like relationship with people. Did I say that right? Like,
Yes, absolutely.
you're a people person, and
I
I'm
love my
hearing this.
people.
There's a theme that's presenting itself, even all the way through to what you're currently doing now.
Hmm.
So because at welfare, at the welfare office, I like to think I'm a people person. I'm not. I'm not. I'm just gonna say it. My fuse is short. You could catch me in the morning. I am. How may I help you? Blah 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 blah. After 11 o'clock or lunchtime, whichever one comes first, I'm. My body is there, but the rest of me is gone. How do you keep? Because this guy, I'm telling you guys, this guy has a demeanor where it's actually like he's serving people, happy to do it, cheerfully all day. How do you keep that demeanor? Because they know it from me. They know they ain't getting a whole bunch out of me. But how do you do that?
um, how do I do that? Well, I remember what I'm there to do is to serve the people, right? And that's what I signed up for when I accepted the opportunity to work there, right? When I um, took on that responsibility, I took on that responsibility to be of service to people, right? Regardless of their attitude or their personality, their presentation. I signed up for and I agreed to service these people, knowing that most of them will have bad attitudes. They might be smelly and not the cleanest, not the healthiest, not in the best spirits because of what they're going through. And they came here as a last resort looking for help. And so, how dare I um, be hard on them or give them more help and be more of a hindrance to the bad situation they're already in. You know, a single mother of three, just looking to feed her kids, senior citizen, trying to live off their retirement, their children aren't paying them any mind. You know, man just got divorced and is paying all his alimony and got no more money. And, you know, to come into the office because they cannot feed themselves. And I'm going to give them a hard time and let them go back outside hungry. That's how they came in.
Right. And that often, more oftentimes than not, happens to the service population because of the guidelines that are set up.
Hmm.
And that a lot of times is frustrating, not just for the person, but for the worker, meaning yourself or myself, who sees that wow, this person doesn't fit this because they are getting a monthly assistance from another entity, i.e., they were a veteran or so and so, and they get $1 more, and they're not eligible for this service as well. Like, what are we doing with? What are we really doing?
Mm-hmm.
So I get what you're saying, but you just have now. I want to ask you this question. You mentioned the church community. You mentioned religion. Do you often find that your demeanor also is rooted? Your demeanor, your calm, cool demeanor, comes from you uh, having a extensive relationship with the church.
I would say so, absolutely. Because also for a lot of my childhood, I've been doing community service and volunteering and stuff like that. So my church has a soup kitchen that we operate out of the church, the House of Love Soup Kitchen on Central Avenue, South 13th Street. That's been in operation for nearly 2 decades.
Okay.
Every Tuesday night, rain or shine, snow, whatever, there's hot meal provided for the community. And twice a month, the last 2 Tuesdays out of the month, is the food pantry. So we give out boxes and boxes of food, as much as you can carry, right? Of meat and produce and
Wait, so
dry
you do
goods.
this, you guys do this right now.
Yes.
Okay, in your next plug, I need you to include that because there are people in your community that might come in touch with this that may need that as well.
Okay. And
So
it's,
go ahead.
interestingly enough, so at the welfare office, we have this list of local food pantries and soup kitchens, and my church is on there, the House of Love Soup Kitchen. But so I'm used to, and this has been nearly 2 decades now, so I'm used to dealing with the homeless population or those less fortunate and the attitudes that come with their situation, right? And so I'm used to seeing that, hey, the bigger picture is what they're experiencing, what they're going through, the challenge they're facing in life presently, not necessarily them as an individual or their personality, but it's what they're going through.
Oh, I get it. I get it. So it's a little bit deeper than you realizing what the person is going through. There's some other moving parts that have been implemented into your life from a child
Hmm.
where it's just in you. See, this is not in everybody,
Mm,
right? Everybody who serves don't have this in them.
right, as I've come to learn.
Right. Sometimes people are serving for many different reasons.
Hmm.
And this sounds like this is something that's just in you. So you're serving. You're a
Right,
servant.
right, that's all.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. So you're a servant. And is this something that you always at some point once you realize that you aspire to be?
Yes, in whatever way
Okay.
I can, in whatever way I can. That's really the story of my life. I want to serve. I want to help to positively impact someone else's life, and that for me, in many ways, means being a servant, right? Helping, aiding, providing some kind of service for someone without the praise or the financial reward or the stipend or accolades that come with it, because servanthood doesn't come with all of that, right? It's just about helping.
Exactly. It really has its own rewards.
Hmm.
It really has its own rewards.
And yeah, so I live by the motto that I'm blessed to be a blessing. Everything that I have, I give to others, even if that's just my energy, my resources, my time, my smile. I'm blessed to be a blessing to someone else.
Mm, that's powerful. And so now food. I want to get to food because this is why we're here. And I want to know like how okay, so I know that your grandmother, you got it at her feet and throughout the years, and you're doing it at the church, and you're now a family business. But let's start here first. Is it a passion for you?
Whew, yes, absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
And I always knew that it was something I enjoyed doing, something I was good at. I realized as I got older, but I realized that it was a true passion for me after my mom passed last year. Um, there were, of course, days where I didn't want to get out of bed, um, didn't go to work, wanted to lose my mind, and the only thing that brought me any kind of peace or joy was cooking. right? And oftentimes I would cook more than just my wife and I could eat. And so we would pack up plates and take them down to give away in the streets or whatever. Just give it away because
You never came by my house.
did I?
Just kidding. I got a couple of them plates. I did.
But really, it
Go
was just
ahead.
being in the kitchen was my happy place. And not just the
Okay.
kitchen, but the whole process. Going to the supermarket, seeing, and my wife will tell you, it's like, I'm a maniac. I'll just go to the store to see what they have, right? See what's on sale this week, even if I ain't got the money. I just want to see what's on sale, what the produce is looking like, how much a chicken per pound this week, just to go to the store and see and shop around, see how the different stores are organized, then bringing it home, organizing it at home, and cleaning and prepping and packing. The whole process brings me joy. And there was literally nothing else after my mom passed would bring me joy or give me any kind of peace. But being in my kitchen, my happy place, that's it.
Now wait. You said okay. So I said the question was, is this a passion for you? And you gave a yes. But this is what I want. This is the other thing that I want to know. Like, where, when did you realize that it was a passion for you? When? Like, I know you've been doing it since eight, but when did it? When did that? You know how you strike the match across the sulfur on the side of a match case? When did it
hmm
light for you?
Um, I guess when I when I got of age and I made the conscious decision to continue helping in the kitchen with my grandmother and at church, right? Because it was one thing to be a child and that's where you go. They tell you that's where you got to go. That's what you got to do. You're gonna get your ass beat or
And
whatever.
that's what I mean. When did you do it willingly? When did you say, "Woo, this is what I want to do"?
Probably like when I got back from college.
Okay.
Because of course, obviously, while I'm away at school, I'm away at school, right? But when I came back, she was still doing the same stuff at the church, and the same cooking was going on. And I would volunteer, "Hey, Grandma, let's go. You need to go to the store. Oh, you need some help in the kitchen? I got you. I got you. I know what to do. We're gonna make it work." And it was because I really wanted to, and I realized I enjoyed it at that point.
Now, where are your siblings at this time?
Pretty much the same. So we're all a few years apart, so we all went away to school. Um, but really, when we came back, we all wanted to be helping out and wanted to be connected again in the kitchen. And that's when we started the catering business when we all finished school. My youngest finished school, so 2019 is when we officially started the catering business.
Okay, so we're going to get your plug going, and we're about to shoot off into Soul to Soul, and we're going to talk about that. Do your plug.
Yeah, so my family business with my four siblings is Soul Food Catering. Soul Food Catering. Our home is in Woodbridge at 689 Florida Grove Road. That's our kitchen where we cook and prepare all our lovely foods. We specialize in large scale caterings or whatever events that you may have coming up. Feel free to follow us and let us know how we can cater your next event. You can find us on Instagram at Soul Food Catering. That's SOLE Food Catering because we put our foot in it.
Okay, so we got. Oh, this is just such a good interview. I hope you know this. I hope you feel it
Hmm,
because I do.
I
So now,
do.
now we got you in 2019. You got all of you guys got out of school. Was this something that was mutually agreed upon? Was this something that was always talked about? Tell us how Soul
Oh,
SOLE was born.
yes. So, like I said, my grandmother really gave us the tools and skills and the passion for cooking. But my mom was the entrepreneurial one. She owned a daycare center
Mhm.
for many years. And so she was all about, having your own business, doing your own thing, being independent. And so she really instilled that in us. So we got the skills from my grandmother, but my mother really empowered us and encouraged us to start our own business. And so we all came together and we said, well, hey, why not? If everybody at the church and every church function loves our cooking, and it was after a while, it was primarily us doing the cooking after my grandmother got old. So it was us doing it. and it was loved. And so we're like, well, let's see if people outside the church will love the food, and that they did, right? So we started catering and preparing food for other people, and they loved it. And when people were willing to pay for it, that's when we're like, well, we might be onto something here. And my mother said, yeah, go ahead. You guys should start a business together. And so that's what we did.
Wow. So this was 2019.
Hmm.
So this was now. How did that start? Were you doing it out of the kitchen at your home? Was it the actual building? Talk to me about that. Because we want to give somebody an idea out there, Michael, who has a craft or has a hobby or has something that impassions them, and give
Hmm.
them hope that they too can do it too. So tell us how you came up with, we're going to do this, we're going to get money, we're going to monetize this. To walk us through that.
Yeah, so when we incorporated with the state and became an official business, well, at first, let me say we were just, selling plates. We would have dinner sales. The church allowed us to rent a kitchen there, and we would have dinner sales, or we'd be cooking out of our home, selling plates on the weekends or whatever. But when we officially incorporated, of course, with the state, there comes a different level of responsibility, different
Yes,
regulations you have to follow. And
yes,
so we learned then that in the state of New Jersey, it's illegal to cater or cook for other people in for large scale outside of your home. So at that point, we had to start renting spaces to cook
now
from.
wait a minute. Step back, half a step back. The state says what about what?
So when you are a food catering business, it's illegal in the state of New Jersey to cook for others, to operate your business from your home. So that
Okay.
meant that we could not operate the business and cater from our respective homes. Before we incorporated, that's what we were doing because we didn't know any better, right? But at
But
that
once
point,
you became incorporated, you can't do that anymore.
correct. So we
Okay.
had to start renting out kitchens, and it was fine. It was cool for a moment, but that became expensive over time to keep doing that. And so it made our profit margins smaller because we had to pay a lot of overhead renting these kitchens.
Okay.
But
You mentioned two money world words: profit margin and overhead. I want you to take a half a step back and tell us what that is. I have a money guy, and he told me what it is, and I was like 1 years ago old when I learned about profit margin and overhead. So could you tell everyone about profit margin, overhead, and it being expensive?
yes, so very loosely, your profit margin is what you make, your profit, your take home, your net income after your expenses, right? The profit margin is the difference between what you make after you pay all of your expenses. That difference between you dish out your expenses and then the margin between your expenses and your take home, your profit. Um,
Which can sometimes be negative, right?
yes, which can sometimes be negative, especially in the beginning. Absolutely. Um, yeah, it can
Now,
leave you in the
overhead.
red. Your overhead are simply your expenses, your operating expenses. Um, and that's before your profit comes in, right before you can get to your profit margin, your overhead. So for us, it was the food cost, right? Before someone pays for the food, you have to pay for it at the supermarket and pay for the kitchen rental and pay for the aluminum foil and the serving spoons and all of that before you sell the plate. So all of that is overhead, your initial costs before you get any income.
Now, were there times with your operating expenses and your overhead and all of that you just explained to us? With regards to the overhead, was there times when there would be unforeseen expenses that would pop up?
Absolutely.
How would you
Um,
guys handle that?
so we all decided early on in the business. Thankfully, we're at a different place now, but early on, for the first few years, we decided that we wouldn't pay ourselves. That 100% of our income would go back into the business. So that's how we covered it. So any unexpected expenses or any expense at all, really, it came out of our profit, our income, because we didn't have to worry about paying ourselves. And then gradually, as we began to make more money and the profit margin began to get a little thicker, right? Then we could say, okay, we'll take a little bit of income, we'll pay ourselves a little bit. And then, so as time goes on and we make more money and the profit margin increases, then we can also increase our rate of pay. But the priority for years has been that we all agreed on to put the money back into the business.
So now we are at a place, you guys have an actual physical building.
Yes, and that's
Okay.
major. It's really major, and it's a wonderful, huge accomplishment that we could only accomplish because we put all the money back into the business.
So why Woodbridge?
I would say, as lovely as Woodbridge is more about the particular space that we have. It really meets all of our needs. It's perfect. We went to see various different places, but this space is perfect for us and our needs as far as the equipment, the location, everything about it is perfect. So it's close to the mall in Woodbridge. It's in a small shopping plaza or complex with a few other family businesses. So we're all local family businesses in that particular complex, which is important. So we all share those same values and similar work ethic. So it's not really any big conglomerates or big name brands in our little plaza. It's us just working hard, maintaining our family business and doing what we have to do without any big corporate whatever.
Gotcha. So now you guys got this building. You have an actual edifice. You are tell us about because you're not officially the doors are not officially open as of yet. Tell us about that.
Right. Um, so right now the space is primarily for the catering because, like I said, we can't. Well, renting these kitchens for the catering orders became expensive and excessive, so we needed a space for our own. Um, so there is space at this venue, right, in case we decide to someday open the doors for a restaurant and have people come in for takeout. But primarily, we needed the space, and that's in the talks and in the works, and we're flirting with that, and seeing what that looks like. But primarily, the space is for our catering business, so that we didn't have to continue renting out other people's kitchens. We have our own kitchen that we can cook from, and this is so important because we have contracts. We have an ongoing contract with a couple local daycares in Somerset County where we provide their breakfast, lunch, and snack every day. And
Oh,
so after I would get off from my day job at the welfare office at 4 o'clock, I'd have to go and we would meet up at these kitchens that we would rent out for hours. I'm telling you, till late at night. um,
wow.
or get up first thing in the morning, 3, 4 in the morning, cooking this food and preparing the food for the schools, for the daycares, because it was a contract every single day that we had. So now that we have our own space, we can more easily manage those contracts, and we have our own space that we go to every day.
Okay, so I want to talk about how far reaching. That's the next question. How far reaching how far out do you guys um reach? You mentioned some contracts with daily meals, and how far do you see this going?
That's a good question. So it's interesting right now because it is a family business, and everybody is around the same age, early 30s or so, starting families, buying homes, high into your career or whatever. So we've all got our own individual different things going on. And so the challenge is maintaining the business and growing the business while at the same time maintaining our respective personal lives and different things we have going on at home and in our respective careers and whatnot. Um, so that's the challenge. But for now, we do have the contracts with the schools and we do have our different catering events.
Okay, so now, does it of you and your four siblings, and I want to get into the family. I want to get into we know we talking about the front and where the food is made, but I want to talk about the back with regards to the relationship with the siblings and having a family business. Where is the Of the four of you, did anybody go to any school or training formally to get this on paper, like culinary or anything like that?
So yes and no. I mean, to operate in the state of New Jersey as a catering company, you have to have certifications, right? And so myself and one of my brothers, we have certain certifications with regard to food safety,
Mm-hmm.
food preparation, and all of that to follow the laws and the regulations and the food safety guidelines in the state of New Jersey. So we have those certifications, but as far as formal culinary training, no, not yet.
Right, but listen, let me tell you something. Let me tell y'all something. This food is good. I'm just saying. And it started with the cake. I just want to let you know that that cake burnt into my soul. I'm just no, I'm saying because my grandmother, just like yourself, I don't know if it's a cultural thing. I don't know what it is, but I too. I had a grandmother. Listen, she threw down in the kitchen and she
Hmm.
kept me at her hip because being a young woman, the thing is that you need to learn how to cook.
Right.
My brothers were allowed to run out, much unlike your household. My brothers was allowed to run out and get dirty and play it outside. And I used to be in the window mad because I wanted to be out there with them. But it was important for me to learn this stuff from my grandmother, and I learned how to cook from her. Do I use it? No. Is it a passion? No. So we could go down a whole checklist with yes or no with regards to cooking and me. It just don't fit my lifestyle.
Hmm.
Could I fall in love with it? Probably, but I had some of my most fondest memories was with my grandmother in that kitchen. She loved doing it,
Yeah.
and she just had a hand for it. Now it wasn't no measuring cups and all that and all that. Do you find that to be the case with you guys?
Yes and no. I mean, so because we have the business, we have to regulate some things and we have to be consistent, right, in how we do things. Like you said, the mac and cheese was bomb, right? But so we need to make sure the next time you have it is bomb, right? So we do have our recipes, but also we cook with the eye, right, as we do in our culture in our community,
Right, right.
right? But as far as the business goes, you have to have some regulation and things have to be consistent until you can measure with the eye and know how to taste and know how it goes.
Right. So you won't be able to like carry on like grandma used to do.
We can, yeah, absolutely. But I think personally, I think when you have a business, that's a little bit reckless because because really grandma would also experiment and try different things sometimes say, well, I
Right.
know how to do this, I've mastered it, let me try it a little different this time. You can't do that when you got a business. They're looking for consistently, they want the same thing they had last time, right?
Right.
And as far as the business goes, I want to be able to go on vacation, I want to be able to, so I have to have these recipes down so that someone else can possibly execute it someday in my absence so I can make my
Makes
money
sense.
without being there.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, I want to talk about family business, family owned business. Now, over the years, you probably seen and or known from firsthand experience, some family businesses don't work. Some have and some don't. Like, it's a fair amount. What do you think is the ingredients for the good stuff the good stuff that goes into a family business making it, and then I want you to go into what is some of the stuff that tears a family business apart.
You have to be honest with yourself, and we realized that very early on. Because I have more siblings than there are in the business, we had to be real and say, well, just because we're related or just because you're a sibling doesn't necessarily mean you can be part owner of the business. Perhaps there's something you can do for the business per diem um, down the line. But if you don't have the same skill set or the same passion, you really have no business here.
Right.
and we had to be
And
honest about that.
how did that now and how did that go over with those who did not have the skill set and or passion? Was that a conversation that was had? How did that go?
Yeah, so conversations have to be had, and some are difficult conversations, right? But also, you don't just do your family dirty and throw them under the bus. You offer them, or we offer them, the opportunity to participate as an independent contractor. You can work on our public relations, work on social media. We can use your hands for prep. You might not be in charge of the menu, or you might not be the head executioner or whatever, but you can help in different ways. And so you offer those opportunities. And if they're going to be mad and butthurt about it and they choose not to participate as a per diem or independent contractor, that's on them. But the opportunity has been extended for them as a relative to participate in the business in some way.
Okay,
But it's
so
imperative that those who have the skill and the passion are the ones who are owning and running it. Absolutely.
okay, so now amongst the ones once it was pared down and those conversations were had, what was the process of saying, okay, it's us four? Is everybody with the same level of skill set because they worked under grandma, or is it some that has a little bit more of something? Like you mentioned, your mom had the like you mentioned, your mom had the entrepreneurial, and your grandma had the cooking. Is there one or two or three of you that have more of the entrepreneurial, and you guys look to each other for that, and the other two that has the hand to cook, which I know who has the hand. One person has the hand to cook. That's you. So is it more or less a conglomerate and it's mishmash together, or does everybody have the same skill set? How does that go?
Hmm. I would say, as far as the skills and the passion for the cooking itself, we all have the same skill set. We all have our own specialties, um, but we all have the same skill set as far as the cooking and the same
Okay.
passion for it. But also, in order for the business to operate and run successfully, we all have our own individual roles in the business, right? So one person focuses on the marketing and promoting and bringing in new business. One person focuses on managing the books and the taxes and payroll and making sure we're not spending too much, making sure we're actually profiting, right? Setting the prices, things like that. Another person, I guess, makes executive decisions. If the four of us have a meeting and we don't agree, of course, because we can be deadlocked, the four people, two and two, there's one person who we've nominated to make the executive decision when necessary. There's one person who is the executor on the papers. And so we all have our own different roles,
Okay.
so that we're not causing confusion, so that we're not stepping on each other's toes. Everybody has a different lane in the business, and you stay in your lane, and we all agree together in, for the most part, decisions that are made. But if we come together and there's a decision made, then we already know who's executing, whose job is what.
Okay. So how important transparency is something that jumped up in my head. Transparency. What does that say to you with regards to your business and your
Um,
model, your business model?
Now, because we're all so close, and I have to speak from just my personal standpoint, we're all very, 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 very close, and have been, and we spend a lot of time with each other. Um, but we don't allow family differences or family issues to get in the way of the business. This is our livelihood, it's our moneymaker, it's our legacy, and so there's nothing that can or that does get in the way of business. At the end of the day, whatever family disputes or disagreements or whatever, which are few because we're so close, but when things come up, it doesn't get in the way of business.
Okay.
Um, and it can't if you want the business to be successful.
Okay. So now we're here and we're going to let you do your plug again.
Yeah, so my family business, Soul Food Catering, we cater any kind of event. We specialize in large scale catering, but we cater any size, any kind of event. We also travel um, if we decide that it's worth it, right? So we'll have that conversation, but we're willing to travel to you to set up catering. We do full service catering where we'll set up, we'll serve, we provide dishes and everything. We also have drop off service where we cook the food, drop it off, and you serve. So each event is specified and tendered to your specific needs and whatever you need for your event. So we sit down and have that conversation with you. You can follow us on Instagram at Soul Food Catering for our latest updates and things, events coming up. Soul Food Catering, SOLE Food Catering, because we put our foot in it. You can also find us in Woodbridge at 689 Florida Grove Road.
Okay, so we are covering so much ground, getting so much information. So now you're here, you got your business, you got a building. It's to the open, to not to for primarily catering. Do you see anything else for Soul Food Catering? Like, what is your okay? Let's start here. What is your menu? Let's talk about your menu.
So our catering menu is quite, well, I think is quite extensive. Um, Off the top of my head, I may leave some things out, but off the top of my head, we have our barbecue chicken, our barbecue spare
Succulent.
ribs, spare ribs, our fried ribs, fried chicken, fried catfish, fried whiting. We have our baked salmon, smothered pork chops, smothered chicken, turkey wings, oxtail. As for the meats, oh, and our honey baked ham and roasted oven roasted turkey for the holiday season. Um, for our sides, we have sweet southern corn pudding, our cornbread stuffing, macaroni and cheese, candied
Macaroni and
yams,
cheese, succulent,
candied yams, macaroni salad, and we have our collard greens, our string beans, our cabbage,
yummy.
and tossed salads. And our tossed salads, we do everything is homemade from scratch, right? So our barbecue sauce, our barbecue rubs, our gravies,
Barbecue sauce,
um,
delicious.
our salad dressing, everything is totally fresh and from scratch. So
Okay.
we pride ourselves also on being a scratch kitchen, and I think that's why you can taste the difference in that because it's all fresh and from scratch.
I need to tell y'all about that barbecue sauce. Can we just stop there for a minute? So I want to tell a little story about the barbecue sauce. So on the 14th, when he came, he brought the food in, got there early. I'm like, okay, it's about to go down. It's going down, and I was excited. So I noticed he has this box of mason jars filled with this rich-looking liquid. I said, well, what is that? He put some extra. So I took me a jar of sauce. And he politely let me know, boo boo, it's for sale. So I purchased me a jar of that barbecue sauce. Let me tell y'all something. Now it did not taste like what you did with the food, but I put it on my chicken wings. I put it on my chicken wings, and baby, what a difference that chicken, oh my God. That's all I'm gonna say on that. But I got the barbecue sauce in it, and my son does not eat barbecue sauce, so I
Oh,
am in my glory.
no
Oh my!
doubt to share.
So we got this expensive menu. Do you think that you guys will expand out to other stuff like a health food option? I'm noticing that a lot of places are really getting attuned to health food stuff. Your food is listen. Let me tell you something. Y'all gonna build big up steam alone on the food you got. But I'm saying you notice that if you notice, there's a health food wave. If it hasn't consumed us, it's here or it's
Hmm.
coming. What do you think about that?
Now I'll speak from myself, right? I don't want to speak on behalf of the business because it's not a
No, we're gonna
conversation
have
we've
you.
all had.
We're gonna have you guys come back. So get ready.
Yes. So we'll have to talk about that. But my personal perspective is that we'll stay in our lane, and our lane is big enough, and our lane will provide what we need, right? And so soul food is notoriously or historically not the healthiest, right? And that's because of its
It's so
origins.
delicious.
Right. It's the most delicious. And so we do have healthier options. We have, our salads with our homemade dressings, and we have our veggies, and we have our baked salmon and baked chicken. So there are healthier options. But at the same time, listen, soul food is for the soul. And sticking true to its origins and the desperation that our ancestors had, right, when they started making this food and the love that they cooked with and how they really worked miracles turning this crap and these scraps, this trash, into something so lovely and so soulful. And me, I want to stick true to that. So am I going to eat it every day? No, because I want to live a long time. But my lane is that it's cooked with love and that it's good for the soul. So when you're in the mood for some good down home southern grandma's cooking soul food, you know where to find
Which is where.
it. 689 Florida Grove Road in Woodbridge, New Jersey.
And on that note, guys, I just wanted to say thank you for coming in and sitting with us. I know I've learned so much. The first thing is that I cannot do what you guys are doing. That's the first thing I learned from all this. Like, work this day job. I have my own pursuits, but work my day job and do what you gotta do. That has a lot of energy that it takes. A lot of energy, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears. My hat is off to you guys. I'm so glad that you are close to me. And when are you guys? Okay, so when are you guys opening the doors? How does this work? Take me there. How does this work? Catering versus takeout. I know you want to focus primarily on catering. Are the doors going to officially open, or how does that work? Walk me through that.
Yeah, so the plan is for the doors to officially open for business for takeout. But there are some things still that we have in the works as far as dealing with the state and the city and the health department, blah, blah, blah. Some specifics that need to be ironed out before we can disclose a date. But we will have a grand opening when that time comes. So follow us on Instagram at Soul Food Catering, SOLEFOOD CATEERING, Soul Food Catering on Instagram for our latest updates on that. And I want to say one more thing that I've recently left my day job with the welfare office a couple of weeks ago to pursue this passion and this dream and this love full time. And, I would never advocate for someone to do that recklessly, but because we or I have spent years building up the business and again, putting the money back into the business, there's some capital, there's some safety net per se, right? So it's not a reckless decision. I would never advocate for someone to do so recklessly without being able to take care of themselves and have a plan. But sometimes you do have to just take that leap of faith and
Step out
do
on
what
some
you
faith.
love. Do what you love,
That's
because
right.
life is short, and you should do what you're passionate about while you can.
Well, you will be sorely missed as a neighbor and as a coworker. I just want to let you know that. But I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit up here on this live and lie that and say that I am not glad that you are not my neighbor as far as me getting some food out of Woodbridge, because I'm right here.
Right there.
So I want to thank you for coming out. I want to talk with you later about bringing the family back and speaking to the whole family and getting you guys ideas, and at a later time, of course, where everything has hashed itself out, so we could get on the other side and see what it's looking like from the other side. Because it seems like, from what I'm hearing from you, you guys, your soul food train is picking up steam.
Sure is, quickly too. So I'm excited about it.
Okay, so we're going to have you guys back, talk to them another time. I'll make sure I stay in touch with you. And guys, once again, October 19th, 2024. Get out here, get those tickets to the Masses Just for Show. We have the event page on Facebook. We also on Instagram under G Spot 824. We want you to come out and have a good time. And believe it or not, I know you're not going to be surprised, but Soul Food Catering is going to be catering. So if you never had the food, come on out, purchase your ticket, and you'll get a twofer. You'll have your next caterer, and you'll have the opportunity to know where you're going for Valentine's Day. Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I had a lot of fun. This was good.
This was fun. Tell your wife I said,
I will.
Congratulations on the new house. Congratulations on all these new portals that have presented yourself to. When you said it's a blessing, you're blessed to be a blessing. The blessings are coming back to you, and you deserve it. You deserve everything that's blessed coming back to you in spades. And with that, you guys have a good day. You deserve it, and you definitely deserve it if you are pursuing it. Until we meet again, this is the finale of season 2. Season 3 starts on August 4th. We are starting off with a bang that week, so you want to be in the house. Also, G-Spot 967 at night on August 3rd at 10 p.m. We're going to be talking a little ground. So if you know someone that knows someone that knows someone that want to talk ground, the first episode is Let's Get Naked. I don't know if I was able to say that in the daytime or live, but August 3rd at 10 p.m., we're going to be talking about getting naked. Okay? Okay. Michael, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.